I found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA ever since. I think the things I like the most about the ISCA is it's a developmental league, but it's also a league that's got some veteran drivers. And I think really what I was looking to do was try to surround myself with some people to better my talent, my skill, and my craft. And that's one thing the ISCA has really delivered. It's got great quality drivers. You learn how to race in close quarters around some of these other people. And I think the other thing, when you do look at the developmental side, once I joined the ICA, my I rating has soared, my safety rating is better than it's ever been. And it's also really great to see drivers that join our league, really excel over time, some of which stay with the league and some that maybe move on to some bigger things, which is really exciting. We have a great history of developing drivers. We have a great alumni list. But I just really enjoy, participating in the league and just continue to get better each week that goes by. Yeah, the competition in the ICA is awesome. I think a lot of us talk about it, each week of just how blessed we are to have such a high level of driving capabilities and just a quality group of drivers overall. And I think that's just still, I think the thing I like the most about the ICA. You build a lot of friendships, a lot of camaraderie. We're really competitive on Thursday and Saturday nights, but it's really fun also after the race to kind of review the race start to finish. And we do a lot of coaching about what's working, what's not working. Not saying we give away all of our secrets, but I think anyone that joins it, there's a common theme. They get better each week, their I rating goes up. We see them in strength of field races over time, week in, week out. And that's just something that's really fun. Even though we compete, we really appreciate the league we participate in. And I think in most cases, we're highly competitive with some of the best and cleanest drivers on the service. And if you like long green flag runs, we don't have a lot of cautions in our races. We tend to have green flag pit stops. But those are just some things that I really enjoy about the league the most, is the quality of the competition, the lack of cautions, and just the long runs that really leads to some really awesome racing. Yeah, I think people that should join the ISCA are people like myself. When I go back a few years ago and I was really looking to up my game and get involved in open setup league racing, for so long I just wasn't involved in that because I just didn't, I didn't seek it out, but I really didn't also know how to get started. And once I started doing research, it was a really easy choice that the ICA was a place I really wanted to be and get involved with. And all those things I talked about earlier have happened to me, from improving I rating, improving my skill. And, I'm someone that I really enjoy the ICA. I'll probably stay there, but don't think that, if you're coming to the ICA, that it's something long-term. That in some cases you can find a long-term home like a lot of us, but we develop drivers, and ultimately we'd like to see our drivers participate for a period of time and hopefully move their way up the ranks, whether that be into Road to Pro or Contender Series, or hopefully get to the Coke Series. That's really the goal of what we want to be, as an established league with great drivers, but also a league that's going to develop drivers into bigger and better things.
Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Saturday Cup Series here at Big Bad Talladega. We're here for the Sundrop 313, and definitely going to be an exciting one for sure here. Of course, we saw a just nail-biter race there on Thursday. I expect this is going to be the same. Of course, Saturday known for having a little bit of less people, but I think that it still is enough people out there to really get rowdy out there at Talladega. Of course, this is a 2.66 mile super speedway. I mean, it is the sister track in a lot of ways to Daytona, but it is bigger than Daytona. It's badder, it's wider, it is everything better I'd say the Daytona. I mean, hopefully any Daytona fans out there don't get upset, but definitely going to be an exciting one here tonight. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. Going to be on the call here tonight for the ISCA, and we're going to have somebody down there in the race actually talking with us during the race. Al Kozlowski. I don't see how you're going to manage that, man, being out there going 200 plus mile an hour and talking to me.
Well, it's not going to be easy if it happens anything like it was Thursday, Brian. I'll be out of the car here soon. I mean, this is a pretty eventful race. These guys, everybody wants to get to the front to avoid the big one. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely saw some guys definitely, not fair as well on that Thursday. I think you were one as well that had your fair share of problems. I mean, half the field, I don't believe, made it to the end. But, I mean, that's what you kind of expect at Talladega. You expect that there's going to be some hurt race cars out there. So you might be going from an in-race commentator to a, actual commentator.
Yeah, if you see me park this thing, I've got engine damage. That what happened to me Thursday. I worked from like 13th on up to the lead there, and I led a couple laps until it got to about lap 23, and I made a judgment call that I don't think was very smart, and I got pinched in the middle, and we tried a 4 wide there coming into turn 1, and it didn't work out too well for me.
Yeah, now 4 wide is possible here at Talladega, but I think a lot of it is the aero and just it's hard to predict where other drivers are going to go. I mean, Talladega is so wide, there is enough room for 4 lanes of traffic. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the race facts here for tonight's race. Of course, I mentioned this is the Sun Drop 313. 118 laps these guys have to conquer here tonight. Of course, stages are 24 and 53. 5 sets of tires. I do believe 4 actually down in the pits. These guys are going to have a 36-lap fuel window. That will not matter much in the first 2 stages, but in that final stage, that is definitely going to be something that I think we're going to have to really keep an eye on. I think those guys are probably going to end up having to split that in half, but barring, we could end up having a caution in that final stage, which does tend to happen at Talladega. Of course, I think on Thursday, I think half the field had pitted and half the field had yet to pit, so that really split everything up quite a bit. Expect to see that definitely happen again. We'll have to wait and see, though. But let's take a quick gander at the points while qualifying is underway. Of course, looking at these Saturday points, Chris Severa has been the dominant factor in the Cup Series. Of course, Cup Series is a 13-week schedule. Chris Severa has won all 4 races thus far. Kenny Powell is in second place. He's been very consistent. He's 46 points back, actually tied with Jose Acosta at the moment. Kendall Lavron's in 4th with Gary Adamson's in 5th. Greg Wyszynski in 6th. Frank Flores in 7th. Paul Olson's in 8th. Austin Derbyshire going to be here tonight. He's in 9th place. Darren Mullins is in 10th. I'm hoping Darren's here tonight. Hopefully keep that streak alive, just considering he won that race on Thursday. Don't see his name in the grid, though, so he's probably going to get his win and get out. But now we'll take a quick gander at the Super Cup point. Of course, taking a look at those, Chris Severa once again has been just the dominant factor. He's won almost every race so far. I do believe 8 races he's got in top 5. 7 of them he's won. The only race he hasn't won so far, I do believe, in the Super Cup season was the one that Clayton Hoffman participated in, which he was able to win. Jose Acosta, though, has been very, very consistent this season. Of course, he's had his fair share of troubles, but he has managed to get a couple top 5s the last several weeks. Kenny Powell's in 3rd. Kendall Lavron's in 4th. Greg Wyszynski 5th. Frank Flores is in 6th. Darren Mullins 7th. Paul Olson 8th. Austin Derbyshire 9th. And Gary Adamson in 10th. Now, one driver I'm really in particular watching is Derek Jacobs. He almost was so close to possibly even winning on Thursday and getting a top 3. And he actually did win an A Open here recently. So I expect a lot of strength from that 27. This is his one chance. Same thing from Paul Olson. But it does look like we've got about 25 seconds left in qualifying. I think now's the perfect time to take a step away and play our national anthem. We'll be right back.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular upon spur, singing a gay through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got the grid set for this evening's action at Talladega. Justin Levine qualifies on the pole with a 52.776, which is faster than what we saw on Thursday. So the track conditions definitely seem like they are definitely appropriate for speed here tonight. Of course, second place is going to be Frank Flores. Great qualifying effort there from that driver. Of course, third place, I do believe, is going to belong to Greg Wychinski. Kendall Lavron in fourth place. Fifth place, Kenny Powell. Chris Severa starting in sixth place. Seventh place, Jose Acosta. Joey Preby in eighth place. Ninth place, our in-race commentator, Al Kozlowski. Paul Olson starts in 10th. 11th place, Gary Adamson. Derek Jacobs starts in 12th. And rounding out our 13-car field is Austin Derbyshire. Do excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I have a little bit of a cough going on right now, so if you hear some noises from me, just don't worry. I'll try to keep them at a minimum, ladies and gentlemen. But definitely going to be exciting. Of course, the pace car lights are out. We got the grid, everybody ready to get going here for 200-mile-an-hour plus racing here. Justin Levine, though, sporting a little bit of a different paint scheme than what we saw from him last week. I know he was kind of in a little bit more of a colorful paint scheme, but I think that paint scheme he's got on there is a tribute to the late, great Dale Earnhardt. Of course, definitely love. Talladega is one of his best super speedways, so definitely excited to see what he can do if he can maybe muster a little bit of the speed that Dale Earnhardt always had at tracks like this. Of course, Frank Flores, wishing all the best for him. I know he has been definitely putting together some strong finishes here as of late. I do believe even recently got his self a top 3. He's sporting a new paint scheme as well. He's got a Talladega Nights paint scheme on there, and that is very appropriate. I tell you, we ought to have Eric Church sing for us here tonight for this race. But here we go. Pace car is getting ready to dip down pit road and take that left turn. Of course, Justin Levine going to be in the control of the field. A lot of guys going to be trying to probably take it pretty easy here in stage 1, but we always talk about how important stage points are here in the ISCA. They can sometimes supersede getting the actual win itself. As we come to the Geico restart zone, the green flag will fly here in just a moment. And there it is, green flag out for the first time tonight. And not a great start for the top lane. Looks like Frank Flores not able to get up and running quick enough, but it looks like Kendall Lavron going to give him some pushes to get him somewhat moving here. Top lane was really strong on Thursday, so I expect these guys on the top to really be able to make moves. It just really depends on the numbers that they have up on that top lane. Do see, of course, Greg Wychinski in line with Kenny Powell right behind Justin Levine. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how those guys are going to be able to work. I know G&G was really strong on Thursday, but did have some issues later in the event. Saw Paul Olson with a heartbreaker finish. He almost, I do believe, was up in the top 5, was getting ready to get himself a nice finish, but unfortunately things just did not work out in his favor. Here we go, completing lap number 1 here of 118, and Justin Levine is going to lead the first lap here. We'll have to wait and see if someone else leads the second one. Frank Flores almost ended up leading that lap. Really a drag race to the line. Kendall Lavron giving some really excellent pushes to the back end of the 8 machine. As Frank Flores is now scored as the leader. Does he actually lead this lap? Chris Severa trying to work his way up to the back end of Kendall Lavron. Of course, Chris Severa talked about it last. Oh, look at that. They're going to take it 3 wide and leave Frank Flores out to dry. Frank in the middle. We know, I was just getting ready to say that Kendall and Chris Severa, I know they work really well together. I know they even said something, or Chris Severa even said something about it last week after his win at Martinsville. Oh, he comes down in front of Joey Preby. Preby not going to be happy about that. Already, definitely some guys beating and banging, some battling going on. Chris Severa, I thought he was going to stick with his dancing partner, Kendall Lavron, but Al Kozlowski, our in-race reporter, now up to 3rd. Can you tell us a little bit about how visibility is here at this track, Al?
Well, it's not bad if you can get up here. I mean, it's a lot of checking up to do here, and that's really messing things up. We got the 33. Looks like Justin's going to come to the outside. He's going to drag me back with the draft. You see if he goes towards the wall and then comes back down on me, he drafts. But it looks like I got Jose that's going to help me out in the back end here. And if I can get a good enough run, I'll be leading this thing in another lap.
Did you see a 2-car breakaway, Greg Wychinski and Kenny Powell? I don't know how long that's going to last. Is a lot of times when you get those 2-car breakaways, everybody kind of accordions back on and collapses back in on themselves. So hopefully you're going to be able to catch up to them for sure as Frank Flores tries to draft. They're up to Justin Levine. Top line is really starting to roll now as Levine, I think, is going to be trying to recapture the lead with the help of Kendall Levron. Of course, both of those drivers are TWRS drivers, so of course I do believe they're going to try their best to work together, but it's so difficult sometimes to collaborate and organize here at a track like this as we see Al Kozlowski moves up to the top to see if he can't get behind Austin Derbyshire to see if he can get that top line moving and maybe work its way up there. It looks like Derek Jacobs moves his way up all the way to 4th place. So we have really seen a lot of changes in just one lap. That's one thing about Talladega. Things change in a matter of milliseconds, not even seconds, ladies and gentlemen. See Austin Derbyshire and Al Kozlowski kind of working together on top. It looks like, oh, Chris Severa jumps out and tries to see if he can't get behind Kozlowski. Also, Kenny Powell and Greg Wychinski have moved up to the top. They're going to see if they can't make that top line work here. A lot of guys being more aggressive than I kind of expected here early in this race, but this is the ISCA. These guys are always putting on an amazing show for us up here in the booth. Justin Levine, though, back up into the lead. Kendall Levron in 2nd place. Frank Flores is in 3rd. Derek Jacobs at the moment scored in 4th, but he is side by side with Greg Wychinski. Of course, top line is starting to form. You see Greg Wychinski, Kenny Powell, Austin Derbyshire, I do believe, up there as well with, I think, Chris Severa and Al Kozlowski. So definitely trying to make that thing work. Paul Olson, of course, on the bottom. I'm wondering if he might think about going up there to possibly join those guys. But now on lap 6 here of tonight's race, we do see now Greg Wychinski starting to really move. I think they have gotten it formed up there. Let's take a nice cockpit camera here from one of these drivers. I think Kenny Powell be a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving going on here. They're not drafting with this low line. What needs to happen with this outside line in order to make it move is you need to draft down. And when I mean draft down, put your left sides pretty close to that white line in the corners here in these turns. And then on this, like they're doing now, they're trying to draft off of them to stay down here. And that kind of helps you pull forward a little bit, gives you a little bit of forward momentum if you can draft. So we want to be down here on the left line here, like I am, kind of down here towards the 10, and just kind of draft with them. And then when we come off this corner, if we want to head towards that wall, that would help us a little bit here, but we're not doing that. So it looks like a lot of drafting, trying to pull them back here, and I had to check up. Otherwise, I was going to take out the Derbyshire here.
Yeah, it was definitely a close call right there, and it's all about really staying in line. It's so difficult to do that at such high speeds. You see, of course, Greg Wychinski, he was taking some bumps there from Kenny Powell, and just I don't know if they were hitting each other square or what, but you could definitely tell it was really unsettling the race car there for the 5. As we're verging on possibly a 3-wide scenario as Greg Wychinski comes up to the back end of Jose Acosta. Chris Severa in the middle by himself, verging on possibly even a 4-wide scenario. As Al Kozlowski, of course, who we're just talking to, is right behind Severa. This is definitely going to get hairy. Got to be really careful here. Paul Olson trying to figure out where he fits into this puzzle. Derek Jacobs, though, has managed to take the lead at the moment. He has Jose Acosta right behind him, giving him some good bumps. Of course, Acosta has been proven to be a very good pusher at tracks like this. He shows a lot of aggression. Of course, on Thursday, we saw guys moving between the lanes just all the time. As here they come. Kenny Powell, I do believe, is just going to leave his teammate Greg Wychinski hanging out to dry. He is going to leave him for Chris Severa. Of course, Al Kozlowski does go with him. As we see 3 wide for the lead. Look at the run that Kenny Powell gets up on the top side. As Derek Jacobs in the middle groove starts to fall back. And I think that might have something to do with the dirty air. Here comes Al Kozlowski to the middle. And it looks like he's not quite able to get there. Here we go, starting to single file back out once again as Kenny Powell now has the lead. Now Kozlowski to the bottom with Derek Jacobs following. Tell you what, blink and you will miss it, ladies and gentlemen. It could change in a matter of seconds, a matter of milliseconds. As here comes Levine to the middle. See Austin Derbyshire up on the top all by himself. But what a race it has been thus far. I'll tell you what, I hope these guys don't wad them all up. We're starting to see a little bit of a breakaway there. I think the top three, Kenny Powell, Chris Severe, and Greg Wachinski might be starting to break away, but then here comes Al Kozlowski with the help of Derek Jacobs. Jacobs has had a really fast car this week, and definitely been happy to see him have some success at tracks like this. I know he usually struggles a little bit at other tracks, but he definitely seems like he is in the money here tonight. Hopefully he does not go home in disappointment last week. We saw last week actually to the finish of the Thursday, or not last week, Thursday, we saw towards the finish there, Derek Jacobs was avoiding a wreck or was in a wreck and got pushed into the grass and actually cut, I do believe, the pit exit cone, which caused him to have a black flag and go a lap down. So he ended that race with not getting, I think, the finish that he felt like he deserved, as we're side by side for the lead. Al Kozlowski and Greg Wachinski dueling it out, drag racing as they get to the front stretch. Of course, top line starting to move too as well. Justin Levine with Austin Derbyshire working together. Chris Severa ducks to the inside, along with, I do believe, Kenny Powell, but looks like Al Kozlowski gets the move to block their momentum just in time. And that's got to be just so difficult, Al, whenever, you got guys that are trying to, almost dethrone you. You got a hungry pack behind you. I mean, how do you predict these guys when they're going to make these moves?
Oh, well, this is just Dega. They're going to come up on the high side here, and the only thing I got to hope for is that they can hold their line, because I can run my line, but they got to hold their line, and I got to rely a lot on who's pushing Kenny and make sure Kenny is pushing me pretty good here. It looks like the high line is where you want to be, but I give a lot of room here on the low line here just to try to make sure I don't get drafted pretty bad here. I feel like Severa is he's high up there, and he's going to draft. I think I'm going to get a hell of a run right here. I got to get off a little bit on the 67. I would have pushed him too fast, and it would have spun him completely out here. So I had to lift.
Yeah, definitely a hard thing to do, especially with such different momentum. When you change lanes, I mean, the different lanes are sometimes 10 to 15 mile an hour difference in momentum. And when you just smack into that rear end, it could definitely end up causing a catastrophe. So luckily that was not what happened there. Justin Levine, though, is in the lead. He's got Austin Derbyshire right there behind him, side by side for third, as Kendall LeBron, Jose Acosta work together. Al Kozlowski and Chris Severa work together on that bottom side. And it looks like Kendall LeBron gets a good run with the help of Jose Acosta. So it's looking like more like a revolving door at the moment with guys that are up on the top side. They get that moving, and they're able to make passes, and then, of course, they go down to the bottom, and then the top line starts to formate again. Wow, this is just plain awesome racing here as we're 13 laps in. I do believe just crossed the halfway point of stage number 1. Of course, I do believe we're going to have, I think, 12 laps here, or I do believe actually, 12 laps to go here when we do cross the line. And Kendall LeBron now takes the lead. Paul Olson now up to 4th place. He's definitely having a banner day as he looks like he moves down to the bottom to see if he can't follow along with Jose Acosta. Of course, Kenny Powell now up on the top with Frank Flores. Not a whole lot of help for him. Of course, Al Kozlowski going to try to draft his way up. And there goes, I do believe, Austin Derbyshire moving up in front of Powell.
Yeah, the more cars you have in the line, the faster that draft is going to pull you forward, and that's why you see it looks like Paul Olson just took the lead of this thing, and they're going to hang him out to dry. So he better get on that low line real fast and catch a draft. Otherwise, he's going to drop way back, and that's going to bunch that bottom line up pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it will. As it looks like Kendall LeBron's going to come up to his rear end, try to get him back up to speed. As it looks like the top line has moved all the way down to the bottom. Justin Levine, Austin Derbyshire, Kenny Powell, and Frank Flores all have decided to move to the bottom in front of Paul Olson. And it's just sad to see when someone gets kind of shuffled out there. But luckily he is, I don't think he'll be too bad.
They'll come back up here in a little bit. If I get a good enough push, 2 cars can make a move. And you might see it here. If I get Derek right on my bumper, we can go to the front of this thing because 2 cars are just as good as 4 or 5 of them. because
It
there's
looks
not
like
all
you
that.
guys got some
spinning
help.
up.
Looks like you guys got some help from Jose Acosta right there coming up as well onto the back end of Derek Jacobs. So it looks like you guys should be able to definitely make your way possibly up there. And it looks like Kenny Powell is going to be moving up to the top. He's going to see if he can't possibly join that lane we were just kind of chatting about. Is you're going to get that big draft up to him, but it looks like you're going to hang him out to dry. Time for Al Kozlowski to do the hanging out to dry here. As Kenny Powell stuck in the middle, Greg Wyszynski, though, should be able to pick him up.
Yeah, that happens so often. You got such a momentum, you do not want to try to check up. So you've got to go 3 wide. It's not nothing intentional. That is a teammate of mine. I really don't want to hang him out like that, but you've got to do it. Otherwise, I would wreck him. You know, I'd come up such a hard speed there, it would probably wreck him.
Yeah, definitely better for him to get hung out of the draft and get wrecked, that's for sure. I know Kenny Powell definitely has his fair share of problems out there on the racetracks occasionally. But here comes Austin Derbyshire. He's going to try to take the lead door to door for second place. Frank Flores and Justin Levine. And it looks like, big bump there from Levine to the rear end of the 91. Frank Flores, though, did bang doors a little bit there with Justin Levine, so getting a little bit physical out here on the racetrack as we go back to some 3 wide racing. Joey Preby, first time I do believe entering the top 5 here, got Kenny Powell right there behind him. So 3-by-3, ladies and gentlemen. This is definitely some exciting racing as we're now 17 laps in. Frank Flores drops down to the bottom right behind Justin Levine in front of Paul Olson. Still the top line trying to make something happen. Middle groove, though, I thought the middle groove would be one of the faster approaches here. I know in previous iterations of the NASCAR Cup Car, the middle lane, you almost got shot out of a cannon when you took that middle lane, but it does not seem like that is as much of the case here at Talladega in these race cars. Of course, these are much different than the Gen 6 that we saw previously.
Yeah, I think the field's kind of smoothed out a little bit. They don't want to do any of that 3 wide yet here.
We are seeing some 3 wide a little bit further back as we see Joey Preby 3 wide with, I do believe, Derek Jacobs, Kendall LeVron, of course, Jose Acosta. I think we're going to have a separation of the packs here.
Yeah, they got hooked.
And it really just goes to show you when you're 3 wide like that, you're slowing each other down. I mean, we talked about, you side drafting and pulling somebody back. But when you're 3 wide, you can't help but really do that. And that is what has caused this separation. And it is so easy to lose the draft here in this next-gen machine. Those guys are now probably in the danger zone. But, of course, luckily they do have a stage break going to be coming up here not long from now. I do believe in about 5 or so laps when we cross the line. But so far in this front pack right now is Austin Derbyshire, Justin Levine, Frank Flores, Gary Adamson, Al Kozlowski, Paul Olson, Chris Severa. Of course, Derek Jacobs leading that second pack. They are starting to catch now, and I think it's because they've been trying to run single file. And, yeah, they are starting to really make some moves, so they could possibly get back into this if they keep their keep their mouth held right, as Big Al would always say.
Yeah, they've just got to stay nose to tail, and these guys up here cannot go side by side because they'll bring them back. But if they get, I'm dragging a little bit to help that back line catch up with us so we can make this a little bit more exciting. But once they catch us, they're going to come through.
And they're going to catch you fast, too, because I know that a lot of times I've been in practice here at Talladega or in a race, and if you're still like hanging just off the draft and you're able to really get a lot of momentum, you can run your fastest lap of the race doing that. I mean, because you have a little bit more track to get that speed boost that draft really bestows upon you. Is here we go. The packs have become one. Once again, Derek Jacobs moves up to the top. He has Jose Acosta with him. So these guys are going to quickly try to see if they can't work their way to lead. And they have such a huge run of momentum. Look at the speed these guys are carrying right now. It's now Derek Jacobs door to door with the leader, Austin Derbyshire. And he takes the lead, bringing Jose Acosta up to second with him. Of course, Kenny Powell also is going to move up to third with Kendall LeVron.
These guys are coming to the high side, Brian. That's going to leave the low line very vulnerable. But what do we got? 4 to go here.
Yep, coming up to now, I do believe 3 to go. Yep, everybody's trying to get these stage points. Luckily, they only have 13 drivers, so I do believe only 3 drivers will not get stage points. It just shows you how important they are. Derek Jacobs getting left hung out to dry as Kenny Powell takes the lead here. It looks like Chris Severa just barely able to weave by Derek Jacobs. Jose Acosta giving a heck of a bump to the back of Jacobs to try to get him back up to speed. Tell you what, these guys are playing. It's dog eat dog out here. I'll tell you. I mean, these guys are not playing nicely, and you kind of expect that at Talladega. These guys are all fast. They're all capable of winning this race. And, of course, we were at Martinsville last week, so I'm sure a lot of drivers have some memories of maybe what had happened at Martinsville. But here we go, side-by-side, Frank Flores trying to go side-by-side for second place right now. Of course, Al Kozlowski coming up to the rear end of that 8 machine. Going to give him a bump to try to get him up to speed to possibly get up there and duel for the lead. Tell you what, as I said before, blink and you'll miss it. There is just so much that can happen in just a split second. One second you are in the lead, and the next second you're in last. It is just Talladega. It's the nature of the beast. This place is a giant roulette wheel on where you're going to be at any moment. There goes Frank Flores, and he is going to go around. Contact with Greg Wyszynski into the wall. Al Kozlowski's around. Gary Adamson on the brakes trying to avoid contact here. But I think this all started with Frank Flores.
Well, that's like deja vu, Brian. It's, yeah. He's wiggling a lot, and what happens is if you don't, I kept checking up, but he rode across my front bumper there, and there's nothing I could do. And I tried to brake, and it spun him around. So it's just frustrating sometimes. I mean, it's a different, these Chevys and these Fords and the Toyota, the bodies of them, they don't match up too well, and you really got to rely on the driver to be able to hold a steady wheel. And it looks like what I'm seeing from my windshield is that Frank was all over the place, and I kept checking up. And once I seen he was straight, I tried to give him the bumper to get him in front, and he ended up going around right across the front of my bumper.
Yeah, I think you were getting into his rear end a little bit there, looking back at it, and it kind of just made him wiggle a little bit like that, and then you came in for that second bump, and that was just the one that kind of sent him around, unfortunately. And of course, Derek Jacobs, I do believe, going to pick up a little bit of damage in that, but that could have been a whole lot worse. I think probably the person that got the worst out of it was Greg Wyszynski, because he hit the outside wall. You hit other cars, it's not quite as bad as when you hit the wall.
Yeah, I don't know if we're that should end the stage here, so we might as well wait hit until the stage ends.
Oh yeah, huge hit for
like everybody's
Greg
coming
Wyszynski.
in.
Greg Wyszynski going head first right into the wall. But yeah, that will end the stage. I do believe Kenny Powell is going to be your stage one winner, with Kendall Levrone in second, Chris Severa third, Austin Derbyshire in fourth, Justin Levine fifth. Greg Wyszynski still manages to hold on, I do believe, to sixth place. Paul Olson in seventh, Jose Acosta eighth, Derek Jacobs ninth, and Al Kozlowski rounds out the top 10. Of course, as you mentioned, everybody kind of going down pit road, get their fuel, probably get some damage repaired. Let's grab somebody and let's see if we can't chat with them right quick. Kenny Powell, we got you up here in the booth. You got you a stage win. I know that was kind of a little bit of a catastrophe there towards the end of the stage, but you were in probably the safest place you could be in the lead. How's the car feeling, man?
Car feels great, man. Yeah, finally, I feel like something's going right for me. It's been a rough week, but the car is lightning fast, and I got some good pushes by Kendall, and I'm taking a page out of Gator's book. The best way to avoid the incident is to not have anybody in front of you to cause it. So that's what I'm playing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, that seems to be the best thing for sure. And I know it requires some somewhat aggressive driving out there. I mean, it seemed like things were just happening so fast out there. Things changing, in a matter of a split second. You go from the lead to all the way to the back. I mean, you're having to move to the top. What's the strongest lane? It seems like the top.
Yeah, I think the top is the stronger lane.
It definitely seems like it for sure. I mean, Now, how confident are you? I mean, what's going to be the game plan? I know you said staying up front. I mean, and possibly surviving. Is that what you're going to be pretty much aiming for?
To tell you the truth, I don't know exactly what. I mean, I had an absolute ball. I will say that. I mean, it was 24 laps. Normally, you get halfway through and you start looking at how many more laps we got to go. When the pits closed with 2 to go, it shocked me because just having so much fun. I expect that to happen again in this stage. I just hope we can keep it clean. And as far as the runs, I mean, the runs come top and bottom and middle. It's just it's blessed out here tonight. We'll just have to try to stay safe and be at the front at the end of it.
Yeah, that's about all you can do, really. I mean, definitely try to work with your teammates as well. I know that's kind of challenging here with the amount of runs these guys are getting. Of course, you saw one of your dancing partners, Greg Wachinski, have some major damage. He kind of hit the outside wall. Well, it looks like the pace car lights are out, though. Who can we give a shout-out to before we let you get back to the racing?
And the boys at TWRS for the setups. They got the rocket ship under me this week. And my boys at G&G Racing. Tons of fun. And, of course, you in the booth.
All right. Thanks, Kenny. We'll talk to you later, and good luck.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. That was Kenny Powell. Of course, our Stage 1 winner. We're getting ready to get started with Stage number 2. Kenny Powell set to lead us there to the green flag. Of course, Chris Severa is going to be starting up on the top here. As I mentioned before, Chris Severa has won every race so far in the Cup Series. I think this could be the race that he possibly might not win, just considering, I mean, Chris is such a talented driver. He always puts together great finish after great finish, but Talladega is just a whole different beast, right, Al?
And this is the roll of the dice. This might as well be in Vegas because you never know how it's going to end. I mean, I went from the lead to the end of the pack, back up, back and forth. Like Kenny said, those laps went fast, and you're over 2.5 miles, and we just did 24 laps. I mean, in a short period of time. I mean, it's fun when you can have 3 wide and everybody knows how to hold their line. There is a lot of talent here on Saturdays, so a lot of folks that don't see this and don't believe these are some talented drivers. You need to come in here and race with these guys and get some competition. Don't be afraid. Come on and get some.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely a whole lot of talent out here for sure. I mean, we got guys that are close upwards of 6,000 I rating, and of course, even drive, and anywhere in between. As we see a little bit of contact there before we get to the green flag, Chris Severa and Kenny Powell touching doors there. Hopefully, that's a love tap.
Yeah, that's just letting them know. I know you're out there.
Here we go. Green flag getting ready to fly once again. And there it is. The green flag out in the air. Kenny Powell with a pretty good restart. He's got Paul Olson right there behind him. Chris Severa getting a good start, but does not have a whole lot of help behind him. Kendall LeBron not able to really get up through the gears quick enough, but it looks like they're still going to be able to formulate that top side. Only 3 cars up there right now, as the rest of the group, I do believe, was caught sleeping. Of course, you see our man up in the booth now, Kozlowski, he wasn't caught sleeping. He's right there with him. Looks like he's going to go to the top and see if he can't catch the draft of that top group. But it looks like the bottom just not doing well here. Austin Derbyshire trying to see if he can't get up to the back bumper of Paul Olson. Of course, Joey Preby's there as well. We see Justin Levine is kind of falling back as well with, I do believe, Frank Flores. I'm wondering if that could be as a result of possibly damage on those race cars. Of course, here comes Al Kozlowski down to the bottom. Going to jump down to the bottom lane. Derek Jacobs goes with him. Looks like Al Kozlowski found his dancing partner in the 27. And they're going to be making some moves here. Big run on the bottom side. Going to go door to door now with the leader, Chris Severa. Could be new leader, though, Al Kozlowski. And as Al said, if you want to join this series, definitely feel free. We'd love to have some more participation here in this Saturday series. So many drivers that are talented out here, and we'd love to add your name to it. You could look up the iRacing Stock Car Association on the league directory of iRacing, or possibly get in contact with Kenny Powell, or heck, even message me, Brian Britt, and I could try to point you in the right direction. But Al Kozlowski on the bottom, still side by side for the lead as we complete lap 29. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Kendall LeBron. He is definitely very stable when it comes to these pushes to the rear end of the 62. And I think that's going to be very, very important. There's also Derek Jacobs doing the same thing. Very stable, it seems to be. Of course, Kenny Powell, who won stage 1, now finds himself in that 6th place position at the moment. And it looks like already Justin Levine and Frank Flores have lost the draft. They are 11th and 12th, all 8 seconds back from the leaders. And it is so easy to lose this draft. I do believe you see Levine's got a little bit of front nose damage. I do believe that could be what is affecting that race. You do not want damage. And of course, they recently had a update to the damage model that I think is definitely affecting a lot of these drivers as well. Used to be these cars were tanks. You could really get a ton of contact, a ton of damage, and still be able to make something happen. But it does not seem like that is as much of the case here anymore. As we see now Al Kozlowski getting shuffled out as he tries to move up to the middle lane, but does not get any help. He's going to try to fall back behind. Tried to see if he couldn't get up there to Austin Derbyshire, but not quite able to do so. Still side by side for the lead, Chris Severa and Jose Acosta. Derek Jacobs really gives some good pushes here to the 42. But like I said before, I mean, I know Chris Severa said it in his interview last week. He said, I'm going to be looking for Kendall LeBron. That's the guy I really want to work with. Of course, they worked very well together at Daytona. And I think that's where Chris Severa, I think he was able to win that race. Slow car on the bottom there. That is Greg Wachinski, now 5 laps down. I do believe he had required repairs that he had to take care of, and that is always Greg's. He's always having issues like that. I mean, we've seen in the last couple weeks him lose his front bumper, suffering all kinds of catastrophic damage. Oh, almost some problems there as Al Kozlowski and Jose Acosta almost have some contact.
Yeah, that was draft, boy. It pulled me right down into him, and that was not good right there.
Yeah,
there's a little
really
retaliation from him, I guess. He's not happy about that. But
yeah, I mean, who can blame him? But then again, like you said, the air. I mean, I think that's one of the big things that a lot of you can't see it. You can't see the air coming off these cars. You wonder why these guys are wiggling, why they kind of move around and stuff like that. It's because all this turbulent air. These guys are going 200 mile an hour, and that causes the air to whip the car around, and it's hard to keep that thing pointed in the right direction, no matter what your steering wheel inputs are.
Yeah, I just can't push Austin. He is everywhere. He's high, he's low. See, I'm going to end up spinning him again. I'm just going to back off.
Yep, you see that definitely has caused that bottom lane to lose a lot of momentum here as they're going to start to fall back. And it looks like Al Kozlowski goes, contact with Paul Olsen a little bit there. Luckily, it didn't turn out too bad. Just a little bit of trading paint there. As Al Kozlowski falls in behind him. Jose Acosta now in the lead with Chris Severa in tow. Kenny Powell in third at the moment. As you see, the bottom line has essentially just disintegrated. Yeah, but I could definitely see Austin Derbyshire. Seems like his car is not handling as well as it could be at the moment. Something about it whipping it around. And you have to have a stable race car. I mean, of course, you won't. It's almost a balancing act here at Talladega. You got to have a loose car that's fast. But you also got to have something that is going to be able to be stable in the corners. That way other people can help you. Looks like Derek Jacobs in danger of losing the draft. I think he will. He is now over a second back from the group. Unfortunate for him. But luckily, I do believe he should still be able to remain on the lead lap. Still have, I do believe, just under 20 laps to go here in this stage. But definitely looks like everybody is starting to calm down a bit out here, which is definitely good for sure. These guys going to try to see if they can't log some laps. But, of course, the closer and closer we get to stage number 2, it is going to probably get a little bit more hectic. It's already been quite hectic, I'd say. As it looks like Austin Derbyshire is going to get shuffled out to the top. And we could even have another split here in the pack as we see the top 5 are starting to split from the rest of the group. Of course, I think they are racing back there. That's probably not going to help. But Joey Preby, I think, has got a sniff of the draft of Alcazar. So he's going to try to see if he can't work his way up to possibly get back in this thing. And I think they will be able to do so. Gary Adamson going to give him some good pushes. And looks like we do have now a 8-car group. Of course, Austin Derbyshire, I think, is in danger. I talked about that half a second mark. He is about a little over half a second back from this group. Now, if he goes any further, I think he is definitely going to be in no man's land. And I think he is in danger of possibly losing this draft. We appreciate y'all joining us here tonight for the ISCA. Make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We definitely appreciate it for sure. If you are out there supporting one of these drivers, maybe you're a family member, definitely feel free to comment and show them your support. If they go back and watch this and see your support, they'll definitely be happy to see that for sure. But Chris Severa in the lead here, lap 36 coming to 37. And so far, it has definitely been a hectic race. Derek Jacobs well off the group. And it looks like Austin Derbyshire somehow has caught back up. He was almost in that no man's land, but it looks like he is not wanting to stay in line. And that is going to definitely hurt him again. And I think that's what's putting him in danger of possibly losing the lead, the lead pack here. But luckily, when you're all running the bottom line, that's one thing about it. A lot of guys are going to be checking up. It's so difficult to stay in line and not check up. I mean, I know you probably couldn't even speak to that in some regard, Al. You know, this is not just push the gas pedal down all the way, unless you're the leader.
Oh, no, you're feathering it all over the place. I mean, I'm 3/4 throttle, a quarter throttle, half throttle. I mean, it's all over, unless you want to run somebody over. I mean, you can just plow right through this field, I guess. I think what we're doing here on the outside line is we're just trying to see how dominant we are. We're going to fall back, and then we're going to come back up through this field when it's time to go, you know. That's what's going on with Severa, Kendall, and Kenny Powell and his group right behind me here.
Paul Olson, though, now up into the lead, so definitely going to be getting him some much-needed laps led here tonight. Of course, he's got Joey Preby right behind him, and Gary Adamson, first time up into top 3, I do believe. So Adamson definitely looking to see if he can't get one of his career best finishes here. As you see, Chris Severa kind of falling back behind Al Kozlowski. I think they're trying to possibly generate some sort of run here.
Yeah, we've seen it earlier. All they got to do is drop back, group together, and they'll come flying through this field on the outside.
100%.
And they could have some overheating issues. That's been a problem this week. These cars are overheating. They get about a little over 2. I think it's like 296 or something, and then they blow up. And of course, you got gauges in here to see exactly what your temperature is and everything. And the only way to cool it off really is to peek your nose out. You go to the right like this and just get some air. Sometimes that'll cool it off a degree or 2, and then you get right back at it. Or you can lift. But as you lift, that's where these checkups are coming up. And what I mean about a checkup is the leader doesn't notice anything, but everybody behind him, the draft is pushing them back. So everybody behind that, you know, everybody behind the car in front of them, they have to really check up. They have to use their brakes. It looks like Gary stepped out. He might be overheating.
Could very well be the case. Looks like he's going to drop down to the apron. And yeah, I mean, these next-gen cars have never really had a whole lot of issues with overheating, but it seems like recently they are having a lot more of an issue with it. Oh, Chris Severa getting really loose as we look on the cockpit camera. Side by side, though, Kenny Powell, he's going to try to see if he can't take the spot away from Severa. He's got Kendall LeVron right there with him. But looks like we got a split in the group here.
Yeah, they drop back 2 seconds, and there's almost a next to a possibility for them to catch us. If these 4 cars stay together, the 3 in front of me, they all stay nose to tail, we can put about 3.5 to 4 seconds gap between us and 5th place here.
You're already doing it. I mean, you guys already have just over 3 seconds now So this is going to be very good for you in order to get some stage points, of course. Definitely going to be very good for Paul Olson if he can stay up here, but still a long way to go here in this stage. We've seen things change quite quickly. And I'm wondering why those guys decided to race so hard when they were going to be in danger of losing the draft. I mean, you see now that Kenny Powell and Austin Derbyshire, they are 5th and 6th. They are by themselves at the moment. Chris Rivera is in 7th. He's 2 seconds behind these two. So something going wrong with Chris Rivera. Could it have been a heating issue? I don't think it would have been, just considering he was kind of leading that group. So interesting to note, we are going to have a lot of these drivers, I think, are out of the draft. And like you said, it is pretty much an impossibility to catch that draft unless you really get single file, especially if you're just only 2 cars. I mean, you talked about, 2 cars can make something happen, but it's hard to do it when you got 4 or so lined up in a row.
Yeah, if you go try to race side by side, it actually makes the pack slower. So when you see these 4, me in the top 3 here, nose to tail, we put 7 seconds on them in 2 laps. I mean, that's because we're not racing side by side. And the longer we do this, the more we put time between us,
Yeah, for sure. That is exactly right. It looks like we're going to see 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th maybe come back together here, or and 9th, as Chris Rivera drafts up to the back end of Austin Derbyshire. So we do have a 5-car group now, but it looks like Chris Rivera not going to help push those guys. He's going to go to the top with Kendall LeBron, and they're going to try to drive around the top of Kenny Powell. If those guys could possibly work together, I don't...
Freebie up here is pushing Paul Olson pretty tough here, trying to get as much time gap between this pack and the pack behind us. And if Paul can't control his push, he's going to go around, and then it's going to ruin this whole concept we got going on here.
Yeah, you definitely got to be
no
a little
big
careful.
hurry. I
You
mean,
see
we're
big
perfect.
wiggles, some wiggles here. Yeah, Preeby even dropping down to the apron. So Joey Preeby definitely showing a little bit of aggressiveness here on the back bumper of the 43.
He might be overheating too. He might need to dip down and get some air.
Definitely
but
could
that
be the
caused
case.
about a second gap closure for the pack behind us here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys built it, built that huge gap, and now it is starting to disappear. 6.4 seconds they are back now, and they are closing in very quickly. So they got to get it together here. Preeby hopefully has gotten his temperature issues sort of dealt with. But this is definitely going to be interesting. I think they have just enough time, that back group, to possibly catch up to you guys. And also got to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that there are some drivers that possibly could even go a lap down in this scenario. Because Justin Levine, he's about 41 seconds back from the leaders. And, of course, the lap times around this place, when you're in the draft, is about 49, 48. So he should possibly get caught before the end of Stage 2. Lap traffic can be a big deal at Talladega if, not everybody's of the same mind. I think that's one of the big things about Talladega. You have to have you almost have to be synchronized and almost have to be able to read the other driver's thoughts. And it's so difficult to do that when you're moving so fast around this racetrack.
Yeah, these stage wins, they don't mean as much as the final green, the checkered there, but a lot of folks try to battle too early, and they don't have the setup. But like I explained to you earlier, the Chevys, for some reason, the nose on these Chevys is so round that the Toyotas and everything, when they get in front of them, you can't really push them. As you'll see Frank Flores or Jose Acosta trying to push Joey Preeby in front of me, he really can't get a square hit on him because that's a Chevy to a Ford. And I think that's what's going on with Preeby and Paul Olson.
Yeah, definitely could be. I know Fords have a little bit more of a squared front end as well, and it seemed to be a little bit better at pushing, like you said, with the Toyotas. But that is an interesting note. We kind of talk about that. There a lot of times on iRacing, a lot of people think there's not a lot of difference in the manufacturers, and I say there isn't really that much of a difference. But when it comes to tracks like this is when it really becomes apparent. The different nose styles of these race cars, which can definitely lead to you're not able to lock bumpers as you once were. I know the car tomorrow was a little bit more of a square front end. course, 46 laps now into the race. I do believe, like I said, stage 2 will end from 53 going to 54. Paul Olson, though, is in the lead. Of course, Kendall LeBron now has taken over 5th from Chris Severa, and is now going to see if he can't draft up to these guys. They're about 4.8 seconds back now. They are running out of time, but Kenny Powell is pushing the ever-living mess out of the back end of the 28. Of course, Austin Derbyshire trying to work his way up. I'm wondering what is going on with Chris Severa. It seems like he is having some major problems with being able to actually keep the draft and push. So I'm wondering if maybe it's a setup issue. I know this is a track that you could end up accidentally putting the wrong setup on. It's very easy to do at a track like Talladega or any track to begin. You know, it happens to even the best of us. You know, most talented drivers can end up making a mistake on the setup, maybe loading up the wrong one. And, you know, setups, a lot of people would not say setups aren't that important at a track like Talladega, but I think they can make quite the difference.
Yeah, if these guys in front of me don't start getting a little bit less aggressive, we're going to end up either letting that pack behind us catch us, or we're going to wreck one of us. So Joey Preby's just got to calm down and realize that Paul Olson is doing the best he can. He's probably holding a straight line, and I see Joey's dancing around his bumper. It's going to spin him out.
Yeah, we definitely hope that does not happen. I know Paul Olson looks forward to these types of tracks, you know, because this is one of the tracks that really gives him an opportunity to possibly get some type of points or get a victory possibly. And, you know, I know Atlanta's another one. The Atlanta Super Speedway always looks forward to these racetracks. And it looks like he definitely has a very good race car underneath him at the moment. As we're now coming, I do believe, to 4 laps to go in the stage next time by. And it looks like you guys are starting to pull away from that second pack. So hopefully that'll work out for you guys. I know it looks like they are about 4.4 seconds back. And we're losing some time on that last set of corners. Some good bumps there from Preby. I think he's starting to figure out and get the rhythm here for Paul Olson. Of course, you know, a lot of things you could do to try to make it easier to push in these race cars as well. I think, yeah, you see Preby's definitely seems like he's getting hot. He goes up the racetrack.
Yeah, get some air. He's definitely going to do that. And he would lose a lot. This whole pack would lose a lot of momentum if he pulled out, you know, and just went to the back of it.
Yeah, definitely. But you guys are starting to pull away now from Chris Severa, who now has taken over 6th place, or Kendall LeBron, who's in the 5th position. I think a lot of that's coming down. These guys are starting to race a little bit further back here. I think they have maybe lost a little bit of hope that they're going to catch you guys.
I think we just got, what, 2 laps left of this thing, and
I do believe this time, I think we're going to have 3 to go here when y'all cross the line. Got 3 laps to go now here in this stage. So if you just make it 3 more laps, you guys will have a nice 1 through 4 here. With Paul Olson hopefully getting the stage win. But I know the closer we get to the stage end, the more likely I'd say it is for Jose or Joey to make a move.
Yeah. Nobody wants to finish second. That's the first loser.
%100. And wow, what a big run from Kendall LeBron. These guys were over 4 seconds, closing in on 5 seconds back. Now they're at 3.5, so they just gained a lot of momentum. Austin Derbyshire, of course, has lost the draft from these 3 here. He, of course, is now over a second back. But Kendall's definitely getting some huge pushes from the rear end, or from the front end, I should say, of Chris Severa. As we're going to be coming to 1 lap to go this next time by. And Paul Olson in the lead at the moment. Joey Preby giving a little bit of bumps to the back of Paul. He's getting loose. Not hitting him as square as he possibly needs to. I don't want him to turn, Paul. I'm really rooting for Paul Olson to get himself a good stage finish here, and I think he might have it. But The thing about Talladega, though, Al, is your fate is in the hands of the other drivers. I mean, that's one thing that plate racing is not for everybody, because you have to have so much trust in the drivers around you.
You do not want to be in the lead of this thing, because you got 3 cars behind you that want to win this stage too, and they'll wait to the last minute to pull out. Jose's one of them there.
Yeah, here he comes to the top. Joey Preby thought about jumping up in front of him, but did not have the opportunity to do it. Looks like Paul Olson tries to go up to possibly catch that lane. That looks like Jose is going to start to fall back here, as we are on the final lap here of the stage. Of course, we have to wait for the 10th place car to cross the line. And, of course, until the yellow flag comes out, racing don't stop. Of course, 10th place car, Derek Jacobs, is 44 seconds back from these leaders. Oh, there's the caution. So it came out a little bit earlier than I kind of expected there. But Paul Olson, your stage 2 winner, able to hold off Joey Preby, who finishes in second, Al Kozlowski in third, Jose Acosta fourth, Kendall LeVron fifth, Chris Severa sixth, Kenny Powell in seventh, Austin Darbyshire eighth, Gary Adamson ninth, and Derek Jacobs rounds out our top 10. Let's take a quick step away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to our stage 2 winner.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug. What have you done here?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and grab up Mr. Paul Olson, our Stage 2 winner. Looks like Joey Preby able to win the race off pit road. All righty, we got him in the booth. Paul Olson, Stage 2 winner, man. I think that might be, is that your first stage win?
Yes, yes it is.
Well, how about that, man? I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, you seem like you got a fast race car underneath you. How's it feeling? I mean, how's your confidence level?
Pretty good. I had a good race Thursday. Gotten a little bit of a wreck there at the end, but finished sixth. I told my teammates I want to get out and lead the lap, and then they abandoned me to go pick up Gary. And here we are.
Yeah, for sure. And you had Joey Preby all right behind you, and I know it was kind of looked like pretty scary from up here where we were sitting, and it seemed like he was kind of getting into your rear end a little, wasn't square as it could be. I mean, how were you dealing with that? Was it kind of difficult?
White knuckle. I'm sweating right now. Yeah, it was fun though. A lot better than riding around in the back, just taking it easy. It was fun. And I wouldn't have won that stage without him and Al there at the end.
Yeah, 100%. You saw Jose Acosta was definitely trying to make something
Oh,
happen
yeah.
there.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
But luckily, you were able to hold on to it, and hopefully this race goes a lot better than Thursday did. I know you were up in the mix definitely a lot on Thursday. You know, how much do you look forward to tracks like this?
Oh, I love them. I burn the tires up so much on regular tracks that I'm not competitive after 20 laps, and I do the other races so I can do these.
100%. Definitely. Hopefully, it'll pay off. You know, we are rooting for you. We want that 43 to do well out there for sure. I do believe should be having the pace car lights go out any time now. Paul, who can we give a shout out to after your stage 2 victory?
TWRS setups. I got a rocket under me, G&G, and you guys up in the booth.
All right. Well, thanks, Paul. Good luck to you. We'll be rooting from you up here, or rooting for you up here. Hopefully, we don't put the curse on you.
10-4. Thank you.
Brian, I don't think
Paul
these
Olson.
guys realize that I'm in the race car and helping you up here at the same time. So it's kind of interesting to hear their strategies.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, share what you hearing.
Well, I can't be in two chats at once. So my spotter and crew chief are in a different chat here. So I can't hear any of my G&G teammates at all, what they're doing. So I just have to kind of read their moves and know how they drive to be able to predict what they got going on here.
And it's actually going to, I mean, it might not have been as important, I'd say, in stage 1 and 2, but I think it becomes a lot more important right now, wouldn't you say? I mean, just considering stage 3 could involve a green flag stop. I mean, you know, you're going to have to try to predict when they're going to pit, just try to watch them. Just considering, I mean, you guys definitely do not have enough fuel to make it. What would be the call on pit road? You know, if you were making a decision out there for the whole group, when would you come down?
I'm going to guess we're going to bring this thing down to about 83 maybe. It's going to be about 93 is what I'm going to guess. About 35 laps. I'll cut this thing right in half. You want to short pit the last part of it, so we're going to take less fuel, I'm going to guess here. But all I can do now, I mean, I'm without a spotter that's in the team here to tell me, hey, what we're going to do here. So I'm just got to wing it. So hopefully I wing it right and don't wing it right into that wall in there.
That's right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that for sure. You know, 4 tires or 2? I mean, because I know that's also a significant question at Talladega.
If you're getting full fuel, you might as well get tires, but tires are irrelevant here. I mean, you don't eat up that much because of the long swoops and the turns, and the straightaways are so long. So the tire wear is very irrelevant. I mean, you can almost take no tires if you wanted to, but you're already getting fuel. You might as well take tires.
And here we go. Green flag is out. Joey Preby. Interesting restart there for him. He kind of went quite early from the rest of the group. As it looks like Paul Olson's going to possibly fall down behind him. Of course, Chris Severa up to third is going to fall behind Paul Olson. Derek Jacobs. Whoa. Kenny Powell almost got into Derek Jacobs there. As Kenny Powell, of course, was right behind the 27, but was not able to really push him along. Looks like Jose Acosta is going to see what he can do.
Yeah, that looked like a last-minute decision to help there is what that looked like.
Yeah, it looked like a last-minute decision to possibly wreck, but luckily that did not happen. But the whole pack is back together, so I'm glad that we did in stage 2. We can get everybody kind of collected back together, and hopefully we'll see all these drivers be able to really get something done here. Let's see Gary Adamson driving on the apron. So it looks like he might be having a little bit of some struggles here. Hopefully he doesn't lose his draft this early. This is the stage that you cannot lose the draft. If you do, you are going to be in no man's land, and you're going to be praying for a caution.
Yeah, now I've kind of hung myself out. I'm going to the back of this field because they are nose to tail here. I'm not going to force my way in here. Again, I'm not racing for a championship. I'm just out here having fun.
100%. Derek Jacobs now has gotten back up to the lead. We saw he almost had a close call with Kenny Powell. Well, Powell probably should have went with Derek Jacobs because he's got the rocket ship underneath him in that 27, and he is now up in the front. He's got Jose Acosta right behind him and Joey Preby in third. Of course, Paul Olson, our Stage 2 winner, sits in fourth at the moment. And it looks like everybody has decided to single file.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They just want to ride single file for at least till we get the first fuel change out of the way. They're probably all wondering when everybody's going to pit. So you almost want to pit. You've got to pit with at least 4 people. I mean, if you pit by yourself with 2, you're sitting duck, you know. So this is not going to be as fast as laps as it was before until after the pit stops have been completed, because everybody's wondering right now when they come out of this turn, is anybody going to make that sharp left? And it's going to start being more prevalent as we get about 85 laps in. Everybody's going to start wondering, when are they going to do it? When are they going to do it? When are they going to do it?
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely going to be the questions on everybody's mind. I think it's already on their minds here as we take a nice rear chase camera here from Derek Jacobs. It shows a really good image of the rest of the group here. Definitely see just everybody kind of running in order, trying to log some laps. Do not want to lose a draft. I think a lot of these drivers learned their lesson in Stage 2. They're like, I'm going to stay right here. I am not going anywhere. As soon as you start battling, especially when these guys are all single file like this, if you try to make a pass or anything like that and no one goes with you, you could end up finding yourself losing that draft. I mean, because we've talked about it a little bit and touched on it, but as soon as you jump up, it's almost like a parachute that just sends your car straight to the back, and you'll be 10 to 15 mile an hour different on a speed, and that is what causes you to lose the draft.
Yeah, what people don't realize, and this is what maybe some of the viewers aren't thinking about here, the guy that's using the most fuel right now is the leader, because everybody behind him is about half throttle, half to 3/4 throttle. I mean, so they don't use up as much fuel. The leader has got his foot to the floor. I mean, unless you're going to pass anybody here, try to make it 2 wide or 3 wide, you're half throttle or better. You know, you may even be no throttle at times, you know. So you're saving a lot of fuel.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are probably trying to do that right now, and everybody's kind of using Derek Jacobs as a fuel pig, if you will, to kind of let him burn all the fuel up, and we'll all stay in line. I mean, and a lot of times it could be a big difference. I mean, 2 laps. We said that the fuel window is 36. That's not necessarily accurate. I mean, it varies significantly at tracks like this. I mean, especially for Derek Jacobs. I mean, he probably won't be able to go a full 36 laps.
Yeah, unless he's got teammates out here, and he has to pit before everybody else. If everybody else decides, you know what, we're not going to pit with him, he's kind of screwed as the leader. So he can go from a 0 to a 0 extremely fast. That's why leading this in this essentially third stage here before this next pit stop is not very beneficial to you.
$100%. And of course, you seem like you're kind of being a little bit more cautious as well. I mean, I see that Frank Flores kind of hanging off the back of this group. You're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah,
are you saving gas here? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm keeping a little distance. So if I start to see that left turn here, which it's going to be, 20, 30 laps before I see that, But when I see that left turn, it gives me enough room to where I can brake without spinning out here and do the same. I mean, if 2 people pit, I'm not going to go pit with them. But, if a good portion, 3 or 4 go in, I'm going to take it to the pits. The master of the pit stops here that's Chris Severa. I mean, I've seen that guy come on pit road at 180 miles an hour. And before he gets to that yellow, he's slowed it down to 55. He is the master of pit stops. I mean, so if anybody can mimic what he's doing, that's going to be a dominating force there together.
Yeah, 100%. Pit stops can be quite a difficult undertaking here as well. I mean, actually pitting itself is not that complicated at Talladega, but a lot of times when you're doing a green flag stop, I mean, sometimes you have guys going side by side on pit road as well, and that happens quite a bit. And you talked about Chris Severa, being kind of aggressive on pit road. Well, that's something you kind of have to do. I mean, because every second matters so much. I mean, that 1 second that you lose on the entry or exit to pit road or even in your box could determine whether you're by yourself on the racetrack or with other drivers. And if you're by yourself, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Talladega, when you're by yourself on this racetrack, is so boring.
Yeah, it gets you bad. It's like driving through Atlanta at 5 o'clock in the morning when there's no cars out there. I mean, it's boring. Nothing, or Missouri even. Oh my gosh. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, if nobody screws up their pit stops, it'd be very interesting. But this field is going to be split up dramatically, I'm afraid, during its pit stop. So the last 35 laps of this race might be extremely boring, like we've seen close to the end of stage 2, where it was 4-car tandem and the rest of them are just chasing them about 4 seconds back.
Yeah, 100%. At the moment, though, it looks like all 12 drivers that are on the lead lap are right there with each other. Of course, Greg Wyszynski, he is amongst this group as well. He's 4 laps down, still in it. Glad to see he's still out there. I know a lot of times when you get multiple laps down, it's so easy to just give up and quit. I mean, but he is still sticking with it, and he can still be somewhat helpful to his teammates. I mean, there's been plenty of times, heck, I've been a lap down or something in a race, and if I'm there with a friend, I'm gonna try to help him out. You could at least do something to try to help possibly some of your other teammates, right?
Yeah, I really didn't recognize Greg Wyszynski. I thought he was running that Bud Light car.
No, he's not in the Bud Light car. I do believe he is in a Nike car right now. It is Nike. A new paint scheme, though. I usually used to seeing him in a red car.
Yeah, he's usually in that red car, something
State Farm,
on it about State Farm or some kind of an insurance deal there.
Yeah, of course, I do believe Greg is actually an insurance provider himself, or insurance salesman, so he definitely represents his own business there. So interesting to see him running a Nike Pro paint scheme tonight. I guess he just decided to change it up a little bit, confuse me up here in the broadcast booth. But yeah, that's that 5 there.
Yeah, it always tickles me seeing race cars with like insurance on their as a sponsor.
They need insurance.
Looks like we're gonna do some 2x2 up here, but I guess everybody changed their mind. Yeah, I think we're gonna be doing this for about 20 more laps. Just kind of nose to tail and just kind of ride around here. So this would be a great time for a commercial.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, everybody is kind of single filing out. Everybody seems to be quite chilled at the moment. Yeah, let's take a quick break. I think that'd be a good idea to rest our voices and, of course, let you focus on the driving. I appreciate your help today, Al, but we'll be right back.
No problem, Brian.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun Drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
7, somewhere in there.
Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, kind of talking a little bit about the fuel strategy here as everybody has remained single filed out. I think while we have a little bit of a moment, everybody kind of being chilled out, I think it'd be nice to kind of take a little bit of an ISCA somewhat turn it up session. And right into cockpit cameras, we'll switch out to pretty much every driver here and kind of show what everybody's kind of dealing with at the moment. But won't be talking too much during that, but we'll be right back. And, of course, if anything breaks out, we'll start to scream. appreciate everybody out there giving us a moment to rest our voices here. Derek Jacobs still lead, and we have stayed single file pretty much this entire time. But we are closing in on those green flag pit stops, and you talked about a little bit earlier, Al, about maybe 86 to 90. Is that when you're thinking about pitting?
Yeah, right about, it's going to probably be about 93, I'm guessing. It will be 92, 93-ish. We're only going to have like 25 left if we pit at that point, and we don't need as much fuel. I can take about 9 to 10 gallons at that point and make it to the very end, unless we have a green-white checker. That'd be kind of tight. There's already chatter out there to see if anybody's going to pit in 10 laps. I don't see anybody pitting at 90 at lap 90, but I'm sure shortly after that, within 5 laps, they'll be pitting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a question I think that's going to be on everybody's mind. I think we could see some different strategies. A lot of times guys don't all come in at the same time. Now, it could even be something that deals with the teams and who's actually communicating with one another. Of course, ISCA does have feature quite a few different teams. Of course, G&G being the main one, but of course, you do have TWRS. I know that they have Justin Levine and Kendall LeBron. I know also Derek Jacobs has his own team as well. But, of course, some of the drivers are more of an independent variety. Like Jose Acosta of Pandoretta Racing, he is more independent, so he's probably going to be trying to see if he can't find somebody to possibly work with. Joey Preber the same way. I think that he is a Ryco driver. I think he's the only Ryco driver in the field. So definitely those guys can't be, beggars can't be choosers when it comes to that. So they're going to be trying to, make friends where they can in a lot of ways. As we're now 81 laps into this event. Of course, still have quite a ways to go here. As I do believe we're now sub 40 laps to go. So, yeah, fuel window is going to be opening up very, very soon. It's going to be interesting to see, when that window opens. And, of course, keep in mind, we did talk about a little bit earlier about Derek Jacobs. He's burnt the most fuel out of everybody, but he has led quite a number of laps thus far. Speaking of which, he has led now 24 laps of this race, and I think this is probably the most laps he's ever led in a race in the ISCA.
Yeah, I'm super proud of Derek. He's come a humongous ways since joining the ISCA. He's going to be a top contender. You keep an eye on that guy right there. He's going to be something that you're going to be battling for the wins with a lot.
No, I definitely agree, and that's one thing that always warms my heart, to watch these guys out here that, join the ISCA, and then, they do poorly for a long time, and, because, the talent level is so high here, but after a while, you see them grow. You see them just start to get better and better and better, and Derek has been one of those stories there for sure that has, just stuck with it. He hasn't given up. A lot of other people would have, lost the motivation to keep going a long time ago and just said, hey, this ain't for me. But no, he sticks with it. He wants to get better. He has the desire to get better, and it's proven right now. He's got the lead in hand and possibly could get a win. He almost was in position to win on Thursday. And like I said, he won a race already this week in the, officials. So, if you can weather the storm of the officials, I think you could weather the storm of the ISCA, because the ISCA is some of the cleanest racing it is on the circuit, on the surface, I should say.
Well, you got to remember, Brian, it's not that he has lack of talent and they came in here as a green rookie, He didn't know these guys, and he's coming off of A-Opens, where you lose points and everything like that if you wreck out and don't finish well, So he's racing kind of cautiously. Well, then he starts to realize the quality of talent in these drivers, and he thinks, hey, I don't need to race like that. I can race like I need to race to win a race, So anybody that comes in here, talent breeds talent. These guys are all going to help somebody out to make them do better. We got somebody squirrely up there, but so even if you're scared thinking, oh, I'm going to lose points on my I rating if I come in here, this is all a no point loss race. But you can also learn so much from the ISCA. So this is the place to race.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to try to, get better, and that way when you go into officials you feel a little bit more prepared, this is definitely the place to do it. You're cutting your teeth against some of the really good talented drivers. We got drivers like Chris Severa, Justin Levine, both almost 6,000 I rating. Those guys you don't get there from not having talent. A lot of these drivers out here Kenny Powell, I mean, you yourself, I mean, have really good I ratings and, have cut your teeth and had to work hard to get that. And that experience, it's hard to replicate that. But you're able to kind of impart some of that onto some of these newer drivers, like, say a Derek Jacobs, and I think he takes advantage of that clearly. And so if you're out there watching right now and you stumbled upon the ISCA broadcast, join. I mean, I'm telling you, it could be what changes the game for you. I mean, you'll get some people in your ear that you'll be able to talk to and make friends that possibly could help you out. I mean, it's definitely a huge deal, and we definitely need it on this Saturday series. Of course, Thursday, we definitely have some really, really talented drivers there on Thursday as well. Definitely we're looking for just a little bit more here on Saturday, though, and I definitely wouldn't mind calling your name out there on the racetrack, as we still have remained single file now. I think the fuel window has probably just opened up.
Yeah, there's a lot of checking up going, so people are thinking about it. They are definitely thinking about coming in here.
And just looking at how long you guys have been out here, it's been 31 laps since the last pit stop. So, yeah, fuel tank has got to be starting to run low, especially for Derek Jacobs. He has got to be starting to get really, really close to that point that he's probably heavily considering, hey, I got to start to get coming down pit road. Side by side, though, it looks like Austin Derbyshire and Justin Levine had decided they're going to try to make something happen here. Interesting time to decide to try to move up through the field.
Yeah, because if they need to stop for fuel, they can't cut across this bottom low line to get up there.
They definitely are moving forward, though. They have had a huge burst of speed. Of course, Justin Levine in the Chevy there, pushing the Ford. Ooh, almost a bad bump there to Derbyshire.
Yeah, you can see how bad they don't line up. And no matter how talented you are, these bumpers just don't line up. I mean, in a super speedway, on a normal, like a mile track, it's not going to mean as much because you're not pushing that long. But on a super speedway, you could be pushing for a mile. That's a long ways.
Definitely is. It looks like Austin Derbyshire has moved up to third. He slid right down in front of Joey Preby, but Preby is going to try to fill that gap. I think they're trying to get to the lead to try to maybe drop down in front of Jacobs. That way they can be the first one down pit road. But of course, with these green flag stops, when these happen, it could cause issues. Of course, if these guys wreck on pit road, no caution comes out for that. And, Big Al always says, you race for show, you pit for dough. You could be just doing a fantastic job on the racetrack, but as soon as you mess up on pit road, you get a speeding penalty. You get anything like that, an unsafe pit entry, exit, anything like that. I mean, your race is kaput, especially at Talladega.
Yeah, I bet you 4 laps from now we'll be seeing some pitting going on here. I'm kind of with Frank Flores here, just kind of laying back a little bit, just kind of watch and see when they go down, because it's a split decision reaction you got, and you don't want to jerk it to the left and hit your brakes at the same time, because you will spin around.
Yeah, definitely trying to get on those brakes. I mean, slowing down from 190 plus mile an hour to all the way down to the speed limit, I do believe, of 55. It's quite a daunting task, and there's not a whole lot of reference points that help you out with that. And a lot of times when you're coming down pit road, you have just a pack of cars right behind you coming down as well. And you hit, some drivers are a little too cautious getting on the pit road. And when you're too cautious getting on the pit road and you're in that brake, the driver behind you might not be on his brake quite as hard, and he's going to smash right into you and could end up causing some issues.
And if you don't know where your teammates are going to go, one's going to go high, one's going to go low, and then towards the wall, I mean, you've got to kind of figure out where everybody's going, because it's super easy to plow into somebody and spin them out here on these pits.
100%. 90 laps in. This is where this is one of the numbers, the golden numbers you kind of talked about.
Oh, there's a little peeking in there, so somebody thought about it and they decided against it. I bet you it'd be 2 laps here, and we're going to start poking in noses in there and pitting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's good that you're kind of a little bit further back, that way you can kind of see it before it happens. and you're able to kind of, have that, reaction at least to be able to get down there. So
Yeah.
difficult to
Sometimes
do
that's
that.
good, and sometimes that's bad because that means, of course, if I'm too cautious, I could lose the draft coming off the pits.
Yeah, so easy to do. And that's why a lot of these drivers have to be on the same page. When we talked about 4 tires versus 2 tires, how much gas you're taking, that all matters. I mean, if you take, if you spend, one driver spends 10 seconds on pit road, the other driver spends 14, they're not going to be together when they come off pit road. And that is so huge about it, especially when you're on a team. Like that's why I think, G&G, Justin Levine, Austin Derbyshire, those guys working together there, anybody just working together, they got to be on the same page. They cannot deviate at all, because if they get separated, there's hardly no chance unless a caution comes out for them.
Keep me dropping
laps.
back. I was trying to adjust how much fuel I want to put in this thing. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, especially you're going around here at 200 mile an hour and trying to adjust on the car. These drivers out here don't have anybody to really do that for them. I mean, you can have someone to do it for them, but most drivers don't. And, definitely very difficult. I mean, especially when you're trying to hold that wheel straight and stay right off the back bumper of another driver here. As we're coming to lap 93, still no one has decided to pit yet. But I really want to say, you said 93. I think this next lap, because Derek Jacobs has got to be on fumes right now. The fuel window was said to be projected to be 36 laps. Well, you guys are on like I think 37 now.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of pressure behind me from Greg Wychinski, so I've almost got to call it out and tell Greg I'm pitting, because if he keeps hitting me, there's nothing I can do. If I pit without announcing it, he'll just plow right into me and spin me out. Let's see if anybody comes in this time by.
I want to bet that they will. So I think a lot of drivers are going to have to do it out of necessity.
Everybody's backing up. Frank Flores is backing her up. I'm going to push him up there a little bit. Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the lap, but it looks like maybe this next lap. I'm shocked that Derek's making it this far. He has led pretty much this entire stage so far. So he has got to be running low, but somehow
Derek
he's been
pitting
saving
this
gas.
time by. Derek just announced he's pitting this time by.
Yeah, I think he's
Joey's
probably on
pitting
fumes.
this time by.
So here we go, getting ready to have these pit stops start to break out, ladies and gentlemen. Derek Jacobs has announced, like you said, Joey Preby has as well. I think a lot of other drivers are going to take that and be like, hey, we're going too. Some drivers might not, though. Here comes Jacobs. Jose Acosta also comes down, and Jacobs locks him up. Acosta looks like he's going to have a pretty success. Oh, he locks him up too, but I think he's going to be able to definitely gain a lot of time on Jacobs. Jacobs was really an example of how you don't want to be too cautious coming down pit road. It looks like Austin Derbyshire, Justin Levine, Paul Olson, Chris Severa, Kendall LeVron, and Kenny Powell have decided to stay out.
Yeah, somebody's took very short on fuel, so I'm going to probably screw myself here unless I can really get out of here.
Well, hopefully you can link up here with Derek Jacobs and look like you and him will be able to stay together here. So hey, at least you're not by yourself. You'll have one person hopefully here. Paul Olson, though, is in the lead. 95 laps into this race. Getting closer to the end parts, as we have seen Austin Derbyshire and Justin Levine head down.
So what I want to do here, it's coming off pit road, is I want to stand the low line and let all the leaders come around me so I can catch their draft. I am going to be a lap down, but I can easily get that back and catch these guys in front of me.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. A lot of people, will probably get upset about guys holding that bottom line when they're getting ready to go a lap down, but it's the only way really to get absorbed by the pack. If you stay on the top side, they're going to drive right by you on the bottom, and you're not going to be able to catch the draft. But if you stay on the bottom, it's almost like they absorb you into the group. A lot of drivers don't really care for that, but you have to do what you got to do. I mean, if they're all single file, they can go around you on the top, right?
I'm back in.
It looks like Chris Severa going down pit road along with Kendall LeVron and Kenny Powell, also Paul Olson. So I do believe we have had a full pit cycle. Everybody has pitted now. I do believe Austin Darbyshire will be the leader here in just a moment, depending on how good Chris Severa, Kendall LeVron, and Kenny Powell do. But it looks like Levine and Austin Darbyshire were able to stay together. This is going to be huge. Of course, Gary Adamson is also right there, as well as Joey Prevey. Pitting is
right
absolutely
now,
everything.
I got to drag my brakes, Brian, because I've got to have the push from Derek Jacobs in order to get somewhere here.
And looking back up front, Chris Severa has separated from Kendall LeVron and Kenny Powell, but I think they will be able to get back together here. They did come out in front of Austin Darbyshire, but of course they are up to speed. So this is going to be interesting to see how these guys catch these other drivers. Now, one thing we saw on Thursday was this actually caused a lot of issues, Al. Yeah, I remember an accident actually broke out because it was after green flag stops that guys were catching each other at different rates of speed, and it caused an accident.
Yeah, you really have to be cautious on how you pull up. That's why I tend to try to stay to the low line and let them go around me. Because if I try to go high, then somebody's going to try to use my draft on the high line to get around the low line. And I'm probably 20 miles slower than them at the high line, and it causes a big checkup and possibly a wreck.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost like getting rear-ended at a stoplight. Yep.
We have had, so far, a very, very green race. We've only had one caution that was based on an incident, which was at the end of stage number 1. So far, it's been very, very clean. Do a quick rundown through the field after green flag stops. Chris Severa in first, Kendall LeVron in second, Kenny Powell in third, Austin Darbyshire is in fourth, Justin Levine is in fifth, Gary Adamson's in sixth, Joey Prevey's in seventh. I do believe Jose Acosta just fell back, or actually just gained some spots. He's now up to 8th position. No, he's actually in the process of losing spots. So that's going to actually put Paul Olson in 8th, Jose Acosta in 9th, Frank Flores 10th, Al Kozlowski's in 11th. Derek Jacobs is all the way back in 12th, so he lost a lot of time on pit road there. But you guys have gotten together, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking he filled that tank. That's just lack of knowledge there. He didn't really need all that fuel that he took. So that he stayed in there a little bit longer than everybody else.
Of course, Chris Severa out front with now less than 20 laps to go. He has won every race so far in the Cup Series. And he is going to try to see if he can't keep that going. Of course, in the Super Cup Series, he has won, I do believe, every race but one. And looks like he's going to see if he can't make that every race but one and keep that going. But here comes Kendall LeVron. He actually moves to the top. Kenny Powell not going with him. I wonder what Kendall was thinking there. Maybe he was trying to get some air on the nose. And this, I don't know if I would have done that. I think that Kendall should have stayed on the bumper of Chris Severa, just considering they have a group that are coming right up to him. Austin Darbyshire is only 9/10 of a second back from the top 3 right now. And the closer they get, the more of the run they're going to be able to get here. This is going to be a battle for the lead here momentarily.
I like what Derek is doing here. If you watch Derek while he's pushing me, he goes to the high side, tries to catch some draft off that wall to catch the downforce momentum, so when he gets to my bumper, we'll get enough speed for 2 cars to move. That's pretty ingenious.
100%. As we look back towards the front here, we see Austin Darbyshire on the top side with Justin Levine in tow as they are now side by side with Kendall LeVron. Kenny Powell and Chris Severa go up to block the run. This could end up being bad, and it is going to turn a little bit nasty here as we almost have a problem. Austin Darbyshire having to take evasive maneuvers as Kenny Powell definitely throwing some big blocks. This is definitely going to end up maybe ending poorly, but it looks like they have managed to keep it together as Darbyshire now goes side by side possibly for the lead. You see Chris Severa working very well together with Kenny Powell. They are of one mind, it does appear. So it is actually 4-on-4, and it looks like Joey Prevey has just switched sides. He jumps up to the top behind Gary Adamson. This is definitely some great racing here as we close in on the final laps here Coming up on 15 laps to go in just a couple laps.
I really need those guys to get racy. The more they race side by side, the quicker I can close in here. I'm running out of time.
Yeah, definitely. You are now 21 seconds back from the leaders, which is definitely could end up being a bad thing for sure. Austin Derbyshire jumps to the top in front of Chris Severa. Chris Severa having none of it. Kenny Powell gets spun to the grass, and we're going to possibly have a caution here. No caution as of yet as they spin down onto the apron. That wreck there involved Kenny Powell, and I do believe Justin Levine. Let's take a look back. Take a look back at this
Kenny
accident.
is at the bottom of this line, and what I've got to do is when I get them, I've got to go around him. I've got no choice, because if I try to hit him at 188 miles an hour when he's going 170 probably,
he might go back to the future.
Yeah, oh yeah, it'll be bad.
Take a look back at this here. You see Austin Derbyshire threw a heck of a block. Kenny Powell tried to clear himself on Justin Levine, and Levine, he was already there. I mean, Powell he was not clear. Tried to jump in front of Levine, and unfortunately, both of them end up paying the price. Kenny Powell pays the heftier price as he now is falling all the way back to 10th place. And here we go. You were just talking about it. You're really starting to catch up here to Kenny Powell. And, of course, you're able to drive right by him. Of course, you have a two-car tandem. Hoping you guys can pick him up. That would help you guys out quite a bit, I think. Of course, he didn't suffer too much damage there. But it looks like now he is going to lose the draft. That is unfortunate for Powell.
I think he's got us. I really do.
Yeah, he might. More, I don't know. It's going to be close. He's right on that edge of losing the draft. Well, I think he's got you now. Yeah, I think he's got y'all now. Looking back up to the front, Austin Derbyshire in the lead of this thing, followed by Kendall LeVron and Joey Prevey. Of course, Chris Severa's in 4th and Gary Adamson in 5th. Seeing a lot of wiggling up here in the front. Kind of talked about it before. Austin Derbyshire seemed like he was very difficult to push. It seems like that car just not handling well with the bumps. And Justin Levine, of course, after his issue, has linked up with the second grouping of race cars. He's in 6th place with Jose Acosta right behind him and Paul Olson. Of course, also Frank Flores. So we have two distinct groups of 5 race cars as we're now on lap 107, I do believe. Well, 106, I do apologize. But definitely interesting the way this is kind of all playing out. You kind of called it that it would end up like this, that everybody we split into different packs. And that is exactly what we're seeing here, as that second pack is about 13 seconds back from the first pack. But at any time, even with just a 5-car group, things can go wrong. It happens in a matter of seconds. All it takes is one little bad bump from Kendall LeVron to send Austin Derbyshire around, and the caution flag could fly. We've seen it before. Green-white checkers are essentially a staple at a track like Talladega. It's something that you can a lot of times count on, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we're catching this pack in front of us of Frank Flores and Paul Olson. I mean, we're about a lap faster than them. So if we can just get to them, this will make a huge benefit. I think we're running out of time, but
definitely running out of time. Coming up, I do believe, on 11 laps to go here this time by. But it could help. I mean, if you guys get up there, that's more positions. I mean, positions is points. And it looks like Justin Levine hung out to dry. Jose Acosta goes up to the top and takes the lead of the second pack. Acosta moves up to the 6th place. And I think that's why you guys are catching him, is because, you know, these guys are not content to stay in line. Who can blame them? I mean, getting close to the end, looking back up to the front, though, these guys do look like they are content to stay in line. They are definitely playing very nice, respectful, but the closer we get to the end, the less that is going to be the case. Even though there's only 5 cars in this lead pack and 5 cars in the second pack, I would not doubt that they will still be 3 wide as we come now to 10 laps to go. The countdown has definitely began. Of course, usually the person that is leading on the last lap might not be the winner, or should I say the second to last lap might not be the winner. It's usually the person that takes the lead outside or out of turn number 4. That is when the passes usually happen at a racetrack like this. It can go, things could change in a matter of moments. Turn 4, wouldn't you say, Al, that's where the passes happen at a track like Talladega?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to wait. I got a big push coming here, and it should get us 200 miles an hour here. We're going to catch Frank Flores, and the same thing we're going to do to him that we did to Kenny. Try to hope he'll grab a hold of us make this a 4-car tandem. Huh?
Yeah, it looks like Frank Flores has unfortunately separated from that second pack, so now they are only 4 cars. So I'm wondering what happened to Frank there. Looks like he just, and that's one thing that's very difficult to keep the draft at this this track. And if you have a car behind you, it's not as hard. But when you're by your, if you make a mistake and you're in the pack and you're the last car, that is when it is very difficult to keep that draft. And it looks like Frank is going to end up falling into the clutches of you guys. Hopefully y'all are able to get him up to speed, or he's able to fall behind you guys. As he does stay to the bottom, he's going to try to see if he can't be absorbed.
I think he's too slow. He's going to be too slow.
Yeah, I think he is definitely going to still lose the draft here.
Yeah, he lost it. Dang it.
Would have been nice to have one more number. Looking back up to the front, though, Austin Derbyshire still leads as we come to now 7 laps to go. Jose Acosta leads the second pack with Levine right behind him. Of course, Paul Olson sits behind Greg Wyszynski, who is still 4 laps down. Can Austin Derbyshire win his first ISCA race? It definitely could happen. I mean, we saw a first-time winner on Thursday with Darren Mullins. Could we see a first-time winner here tonight as well? I think that would make this an historic, week here at Talladega to see 2 first-time winners in the same week. But you never know. I mean, we have a lot of hungry drivers. A lot of these drivers don't care. Like, hey, man, it'd be his first time winning. You'd think that would be a thing that they would want to see and try to help him attain. But no, I want to win that race myself. I don't want him winning that race. These guys.
There's points. This is a points race. I mean, you don't get paid much for second place.
That's right. No one remembers second place
unless you finish there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, down the line in a couple months, like, hey, man, you remember that Talladega race I finished second in? No. Don't remember that.
Nobody remembers that. That's
remember
how much
race
of a draft
you won, right?
you need the draft. Look at Frank Flores, 10 seconds behind us, and it wasn't even a lap ago we were.
Right there with him, yeah.
Yep.
Things change so quickly, and it just is so difficult to wrap your head around the difference in speed from being alone with other versus with other drivers. I mean, it is. You go 200 mile an hour when you're with other drivers, but when you're by yourself, you're going 188, 187. I mean, that is so
you're lucky
different.
to go 188 if you're by yourself. It's not good. And that 13 mile an hour difference is huge.
Yeah, for sure. But here we go, coming to, I do believe, 5 laps to go. Austin Derbyshire still in the lead. Kendall LeBron flirting with the idea, going up high.
Oh, it won't happen till 2 laps to go.
Yeah,
They'll make probably moves about 2 laps to go. They'll start doing their moves here, but you don't want to be leading this thing towards the end unless you have a teammate behind you that's going to push you all the way to the start-finish line. You're in trouble. You're in the clutches of the shark right there. You're like a little minnow.
I mean, even if you got a teammate, a lot of times they ain't going to go with you. I mean, a lot of, they'll work with you all race long, but when it comes to that final lap or two, it's every man for himself. Of course, next week we go to Dover. Miles the Monster going to get his pound of flesh next week. That is definitely a very unique racetrack. And, of course, what happens here at Talladega could result in some hurt feelings going into Dover. 4 laps to go, though. And what a job Jose Acosta has been doing. They have caught up quickly to this front pack. They now are separated by 8 seconds. Last time we looked, they were 12 seconds back. That is a ton of distance that they have managed to close in, and it's because they're pushing each other so hard. I mean, you see Greg Wyszynski is bumping Justin Levine, and then, of course, Levine in turn is bumping Jose Acosta. One thing about this next gen that is so interesting, the Gen 6, you were not able to push the pusher. This car, you can. If you know what you're doing, you can. 3 cars can tandem and push each other, and it becomes a train.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I've never seen it done anywhere else, but with this car, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so stable, and it just stays just sucked to the ground. Other cars, I mean, if you did something like that, I mean, it turns into just a wreck. Every time you ever seen anybody push the pusher, it usually turns into a wreck. As we come to now 2 laps to go. A lot of these guys starting to get antsy. We just talked about Jose Acosta was 8 seconds back. He is now 6 seconds back. They are closing in insanely fast right now. Could they catch them in time? I think they're running out of time, but the way their closing rate is insanity right now. They're now 5 seconds back, and it's because this top group is starting to get antsy. They're starting to dance around. They're starting to decide when are they going to make a move. Here comes Kendall LeBron thinking about moving. Austin Derbyshire makes a little bit of a block. This could be an exciting finish. Jose Acosta's only 4 seconds back. I think they might. This could get interesting. If these guys catch them, that would be the craziest. They went from 12 seconds to now verging on 3 seconds back. How are they moving that fast? This is insane,
It's called
ladies and gentlemen.
desperation. You're pushing that gas pedal down as far as you can get her.
They are flying now, sub 3 seconds, verging on 2 seconds separating. But now we are on that white flag lap. I think they're going to run out of time, but wow. Next flag is going to end it. These guys are going to be racing for the win. Frank Flores slow on the bottom. Joey Prevey right now scored as the leader. Preby's going to lead into turn number 3. Kendall LeBron and Chris Severa hook bumpers. Here comes Jose Acosta, though. They are now a second back. This is a long front stretch. At the moment, Chris Severa is the leader. Kendall LeBron goes to the inside. A little bit of door banging. And it is going to be Kendall LeBron that gets the victory. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. 0.00. That is probably one of the closest finishes we have seen in the ISCA history. Kendall LeBron and Chris Severa finish door to door across the line. And Jose Acosta, they caught from 12 seconds back and finished only 0.4 back from these leaders. Wow. What a finish. We got to take a rewind and look back at that. That was insanity. As we come to the checkered flag, you see that Kendall LeBron with a last-second decision to drop underneath Chris Severa. You see Severa tries to beat him down and takes the speed away from him to see if he can't take that speed away from him enough to keep him from winning, but it did not work. And you see Joey Preby wrecking across the line, is able to get third position. And what a finish. Some congratulations coming from Chris Severa. Giving a little bit of a bump there. Of course, let's do a quick rundown of the field. Kendall Lavron, your winner here tonight for the Sun Drop 313. Chris Severa finishing in a absolutely razor-thin second place. Joey Preby finishes third. Austin Darbyshire in fourth. Jose Acosta fifth. Justin Levine in sixth. Gary Adamson in seventh. Paul Olson in eighth. Derek Jacobs ninth. Kenny Powell in 10th. Al Kozlowski, of course, 11th. Frank Flores a lamp down in 12th. Greg Wachinski finishes in 13th position. As we're going to watch Kendall Lavron celebrate, and then we'll take a brief step away. And this is a well-deserved burnout right here. Kendall Lavron doesn't win often. They come few and far between. A lot of times he has a ton of bad luck. But tonight he turned around his luck, and he has won in the ISCA. With that, we'll take a step away, pay some more attention to our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our post-race show.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a finish that was. Just a shocking one, to say the least. Wow. Joey Preby, we're going to be talking to him first. Our third-place finisher spun and wrecked across the line, but still was able to get third spot. What could you have done different there, Joey, at the end?
Honestly, I don't really know. Because I was kind of put in a bad position just where I got too far ahead of the field. So I don't really know where I could have, caught up or balked. I tried to balk a little bit, Chris and Kendall, but if I balked there, I would have been put in the wall probably way back there. I went up too late. And then at the line, I went up a little too late there and got put in the wall, but still held on a third. I don't think it really changed any, that little balk that kind of wrecked a couple people at the line. I don't think it changed too much, though, in the outcome.
I mean, it is, coming across the line. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, we even saw some beating and banging for that first position, but I mean, it looked like you guys were having a ton of fun out there at Talladega. I know for most of the race, you guys kind of started staying single file, but what did it take to stay in that top group? Because I know that Green Flag Pit Stops definitely split the field up quite a bit. I mean, what was the key thing that you think you did right?
Honestly, I feel like just getting lucky at these races. Like, I think there was a couple spots where I could have been done. Like in the first stage, I lost the draft with like 5 to go, and I was like freaking out that I wasn't gonna catch up. But I knew there was gonna be the stage caution. But then I forgot who wrecked. But there was a big wreck in the back, and if I probably would have been taken out from that. Um, when some of the people in that final group wrecked, I just got lucky and avoided. There's some skill with it. Just drafting and bump drafting helps you stay up front. But I don't know. I just feel like sometimes it's better to be lucky than fast or good.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I know you probably had a pretty good idea of how fast the closing rate is for that second pack. 'Cause I know Jose Acosta, Justin Levine, and those guys were closing in. They were like 12 seconds back from you guys at one point, and then all of a sudden, where did they come from? I mean, did you notice that at all? Were you keeping an eye on that?
I actually did not notice that until I saw Jose's call when I was sideways. I did not know they had caught up. I thought we were just fighting for the top 5. What was it? That top those 5 cars in that group I was in. So I was actually very surprised to see them catch up. I don't know what they did to catch up, but whatever they did worked, and uh good job for them, catching up. That's pretty difficult to do, especially at, these super speedway races where you know, everybody's kind of going at the same speed.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely was something that was very impressive. We were very impressed with you, though, out there. You were definitely in position a lot here tonight. You ended up leading 3 laps. You started in A, so you're definitely one of the bigger movers out here. So going to be a really good points day for you. Of course, Dover comes up next week. How you feeling about that?
I'm feeling all right about Dover. I haven't had much practice. I didn't do the during the off week the races, and I think I ran one race in the next gen NIS, and I think I only lasted about 100 laps, and then got I think I got pinched into the wall. So I feel good. I feel like definitely be contender. I'll probably somehow fall into third. It seems like I end there a lot, just at third. I feel like I can never get the next 2 spots or uh be anywhere else. I think I just always fall into third.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to break that barrier. I think you've won before, so I mean you can get there again, buddy. I believe in you for sure, and we were glad to see you here tonight for sure in that Sim Seats machine. Who can we give a shout out to, Joey?
Everyone at Lyco for the setup, and Sim Seats for the Sims, the Sim Seats, and everyone there. And you guys for the broadcast, and Kenny for the league.
Alrighty, well thanks for your time, Joey. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you.
Alrighty, that was Joey Preby, driver of the 16. Definitely put on a great show out there, wrecking across the line, but he did manage to finish third after that. Next up, we're going to talk to Chris Severa. And Chris, I mean, that was probably the closest finish I think we've seen in ISCA history. I mean, only, what was it, 0.002, 0.002 of a second. You guys were literally door to door. I mean, only like probably a millimeter or something there that Kendall was able to get over on you. And you seemed desperate there, Chris. I mean, you seemed like you were kind of coming down to like kind of touch Kendall's car to kind of slow him down, but it didn't seem like it worked.
Yeah, we were coming down trying to stop his momentum. Fortunately, we just got there 2000s too late. But it was great working with him all race. We always have a great connection when we come to these plate tracks. That always helps out a lot. But yeah, it was fun.
It definitely looked like it, and you even kind of foreshadowed this, I think, last Saturday. You said that Kendall, the 28, that's who I'm looking for, right? So you definitely knew who your dancing partner was, and it seemed like it led to success here tonight, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing at any of these tracks is like not only do you have to find the cars, but it always depends on iRacing's connection, whether once you start pushing, if you go anywhere. So fortunately, me and him have been on the same frequencies with our network, which always helps out going into these weeks. It always helps to have a friend. So, but yeah, it was a blast all around. Like the car was great. Um, the drafting was a little bit different. The car didn't suck up as much, but it just seemed like you were still able to get those runs. Um, so yeah, it made it for the first stage. That was a good brawl. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it definitely was, and we saw y'all 3 wide for a lot of that. Of course, it kind of calmed down as the race went on. Um, and I know you're always one that probably I know Al Kozlowski even kind of gave you some props talking about how good you are usually are getting on to pit road. How big of a deal was that? I mean, did you feel like you were fairly confident when it was coming to pit road?
Yeah, we were good until we were halfway facing the inside wall. Fortunately, we were able to throttle up and straighten the car out and make it out of there all right. We had to make a quick adjustment on pit road to make up for that time, but fortunately, we saved enough fuel going into that stop that it didn't make too much of a difference there at the end. We were able to get away with one, but yeah, it was definitely could have been a lot worse getting into pit road. Um, Fortunately, everyone there is on their toes with getting in here in this league. So big shout out to everyone who we put it in with there.
100%. Well, definitely. Sad to say, though, your streak is kind of ended in a lot of ways, just considering, I mean, you've won every race of the Cup Series so far, and of course, you've won every race but one in the Super Cup Series. Now that it has changed to two, and of course, one in the Cup Series. How does that make you feel? Do you feel like, are you a little, do you think your momentum's waning, or is it just Talladega?
No, it's a big shout out to Kendall because he's a very good plate racer. So when it comes to these places, he's always out front. So it's just a matter of time at a place like this that he gets a win. Um, he's consistently getting better and better week after week. Um, so it's good if I'm gonna lose to somebody, it's good to lose to him. But yeah, it's I don't know where we're at next week, but
Dover. Going to Dover.
oh, we're at Dover. Okay. Yeah, it should be fun. It's gonna be we'll see how the tire. I've been liking this new tire model, so hopefully we can get up front, stay up front there.
Yeah, definitely. Tires are vastly important there at Dover for sure. Well, Chris, great job on the second place finish. You led 14 laps. You started in sixth place. You're definitely going to get a nice points day here today for sure to kind of pad those points out. Who can we give a shout out to after this second place finish?
Yeah, big shout out to Gas and Go TWR for the setup. 3F Racing and you guys up in the booth as always. And yeah, Kenny Powell for putting on the league and everyone who showed up again this week. It was a little dry at Martinsville. Kind of wondering where everyone was at, but now it was. Thank you for everyone else showing up this week, making it a very exciting race.
All righty. Well, thanks for your time, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
That was Chris Severa, our second place finisher. Next up, we got the man, the legend. This one's going to go down in history, Kendall. I mean, you won by .002, 0.02 of a second over Chris Severa. I mean, I bet you didn't know you won at the end of that thing, just considering how close it was.
Yeah, I wouldn't say legend, bro. But anyway, I thought I was gonna be second place again, so I just gave it a shot a third time, and the third time worked. Third, how they said it, third time the charm or whatever. But anyway, I knew at super speedways, me and Chris had a good connection. Every super speedway we go to, whenever either he's pushing me or I'm pushing him, and it right at the end, it looked like they were trying to keep us away from each other, but I was able to get clear on the backstretch to get behind him to give him a good push to get up there and coming into the trial oval, it was a long drag race to the finish because it's no longer in the trial oval. It's more toward closer to turn one now. So finally, I just decided to come down and just go for it. I knew I got doored. I just didn't realize how close the finish was.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the. I think it might have been the closest finish we've ever seen in this series. I mean, it was millimeters essentially that you finished ahead of him, and you might not think you're a legend, Kendall, but that was a legendary finish, which makes you a legend because you were able to, I mean, do something that is literally making history. And you only led 2 laps tonight, and one of them was the last one. And of course, you've had your fair share, I'd say, of problems out there on the racetrack. When it comes to just bad luck or just being put in a bad position. What do you think this does for your mindset?
Uh, my mindset, yeah, a pretty good idea, keeping the momentum up through the rest of the season. That's what the best thing to do, and hoping to God the monkey doesn't get back on my back again. That's all I can say. But yeah, Martinsville kind of hurt me. Bristol kind of hurt me a little bit, but finished top five in Bristol. I'm happy with that results too. But just trying to get a win in this series or any other race, it's really hard, and I've been dealing with a monkey on my back on that. But Martinsville, it was. I don't know. That one was just I was just there to show up and just log laps for that one. But this one, whenever the opportunity came to try to go for the win, I just went for it, man.
And it definitely paid off for you for sure. I know next week is another kind of a complex technical track. Dover, I mean, Miles the Monster is hungry, and he's going to take some cars and probably throw them around. How do you feel about that track?
It depends, cause I never tried it on this tire model and aero package before. So, usually I do like Dover cause it is a technical track, and I like driving technical tracks. I'm not a big fan of like easy tracks like super speedways or like what is it, Auto Club and stuff like that. That's aero dependent. But with like Talladega, Atlanta, Daytona, it's kind of easy to manipulate the air. So it's not really that challenging. Just get in cruise control, make sure you're in a good spot, and make sure you're there at the end. But Darlington is more tricky. You got to be consistent with just logging laps and everything, and making sure your braking points, your throttle response, and everything is perfect. Because if you give it too much throttle coming out of the corners, I know you will get loose and you will lose it. And Dover, yeah, I just wondering if I'm going to be in the right position on that too, because Dover will cause big ones over there as well. So got to watch out for those type of wrecks those type of wrecks because it's a very fast track and very narrow track as well. So it's really going to be tough to tame.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, Dover is that kind of track to where it is kind of narrow. There's walls all over the place. I mean, at least with you mentioned Darlington. At least with Darlington, there's quite a big apron you can kind of go down onto and
Oh
not
yeah, I'm
kill
sorry, not
anything.
Darling. I'm sorry, Dover. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Dover
But
has those concrete walls and
oh god, yeah. And not to mention the speed going into pit road. You got to watch your speed cuz pit road is 45 miles per hour compared to going around the track almost 200 miles an hour. It's real tricky to do that cuz if you end up going in too fast, you're going to be screwed for the rest of the race unless you get lucky with lucky dogs.
100%. Well, definitely great job and congratulations, Kendall, getting yourself a win. Got that monkey off your back. Your drought has ended so far. We'll hope we pray and hope that everything will work out for you next week at Dover. Who can we give a shout out to after this legendary historic finish?
Shout out to Team Watson Racing, man. They put out a good setup this week. It was phenomenal. The qualifying set, it I really don't care about the qualifying on super speedways. I just qualify wherever it puts me. It puts me. I'm mostly rather the race setup, make sure I'm there at the end. Uh, Morton Sports, uh, Morton Sports, NRN, and shout out to Severa for working with me for the race. Kenny, Powell, everybody in G and everybody that's racing tonight that I was working with. Shout out to them. To you, and now putting up a broadcast. Big shout out to y'all and Kenny keeping this league up and running with us, and hoping we can get some more people to have at least 30 to 40 people in this race.
100%. Well, thanks for your time, Kendall, and we'll see you next week, bud.
10-4, bud.
Alrighty, that was Kendall Levron, our winner here tonight, finishing with .002 on Chris Severa. Of course, big shout out to everybody that made the grid here tonight. It was definitely some exciting racing. A big shout out to Al Kozlowski, kind of sacrificing his time to come up here and chat with me as well, and definitely made it a lot easier for me, myself. Definitely shout out to everybody that tuned in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the ISCA, and as Kendall said, if you are watching this, if you just suddenly stumbled on the ISCA broadcast here, look on the iRacing, league directory. You should be able to just Google or search on there in the search bar, iRacing Stock Car Association. You'll find us. Send us an application. You can even message me, myself personally, Brian Britt. You can message Kenny Powell if you can find him on Facebook, or message the iRacing Stock Car Association Facebook. There are a number of ways to get into contact with us here. But, of course, make sure you tune in, of course, next week as well. We will be at Dover. And, of course, Thursday we'll be there as well. And that will be 9:15. The broadcast will go live. Of course, race will go green flag a little after 9:30. And we'll be, I'm assuming, probably going to be doing 200 laps. Because, I mean, that's usually what we do at Dover. But it's going to be an exciting one. That is a difficult track. High banks. We've got, of course, huge banking changes outside of the corners that can cause the car to be very upset. And as Kendall said, you can see some huge accidents, kind of a self-cleaning racetrack. And with the concrete that is so close to the actual racetrack itself on the bottom, a lot of times that can really spit cars right back up onto the track. So I expect that one is going to be quite a tough one indeed. And I think Miles is going to have his fair share of sacrifices out there. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. This has been the ISCA Saturday Cup Series. We'll see you.